So no doubt you've seen the pictures at the beginning of this video. So those pictures, I'm trying my best to show the sores that I have in my nose, because they're not normal, and they're very painful, and they bleed all of the time. So I have blood coming out of my nose, but it's not actually like as in a blood nose. It's literally because of the sores in there, and it's actually destroying my nose. And so I've actually been to a specialist who said, yeah, you know what, your nose is actually being destroyed. And so I've explained why this has happened. It's not a random thing, and it's not part of just some random thing that's happened to me. This is as a result of food and liquid running out of my nose day and night. So if I close my mouth and don't allow the food and drink and vomit to come out, it will just run out of my nose day and night. And there's no way for me to stop it. I take medication like Motilum, which is designed to move things through the stomach faster so that it goes into the bowel, so that this is less of an issue. But I'm now medication resistant, and I have been for many, many years. The medication never ever stopped this from happening in my case. And I take my Stomac every day, and this is still the results. I've had this for as long as I can remember. 4 years old, it was there. 5 years old, it was always there. And it's literally destroying my nose, which is why I can't breathe through my nose properly. And I've had to live with this for many, many years, as long as I can remember. And people can actually tell me when I was a baby it was also present then. And so there's no, and even if I let the vomit out of my mouth, it will still come out of my nose as well. There's just no way for me to stop it. So liquid and food pours out of my nose and mouth day and night. There's nothing I can do. And it's also a choking hazard. When you've got vomit coming out of your mouth and nose, it's also a choking hazard. And it's causing me to have breathing difficulties, and has done since I was born. The only time that the sores in my nose successfully healed was when I had a J tube, which is where I was fed into the bowel via a feeding tube. And that provided me the relief that I needed, because I was no longer bringing up the volume of liquids and foods, and so it cleared up. It was not an issue. The limited bit of belching and vomiting of stomach acids that I did was very minor, and it was very tolerable, and it certainly wasn't a choking hazard like this is. And the sores in my nose that I show in the pictures, that's not an exceptional bad case. I mean, I can get in it to the stage where my whole nose is infected because the sore, not because of any other reason other than the sores are so raw inside of my nose that they've picked up a little bit of infection in the tissue, and I've had lots of those and had to have many courses of antibiotics as a result of that. I would like this to stop. I would like my J tube back in operation, and I think this is very cruel to have my J tube taken away and be left with bleeding nostrils that do not function, and a nose that is so damaged I can't breathe through it, simply because of the erosion of acid and foods and things that have come up through the nose. If you can't see how wrong this is, that I can't have a J tube because the state of Victoria can't afford it, and Professor Hebbard decided to be particularly cruel because he has a bad temper that he can't control, and he acts out with patients as a result. Back in the day when he used to act out with me, I used to walk off. And then a lovely lady called Anne O'Sullivan, she used to get in and make him behave. Once she no longer worked for the hospital, he just took open season on me. How dare you? How dare you leave me like this? Disfigured. A choking hazard. Could die at any time of the day or night. And you think that's okay, right? Now let me tell you something else. I have to live sitting up day and night, and this has been for many years, not just the last decade, not just the last 20 years, not just the last 30 years. My entire life I've had to be sitting up. And I'm still a choking hazard, and I'm still, still bringing things up. But if I lay down, that's when I stop breathing. That's when this choking hazard really comes into play, and that's when I stop breathing. And I have had numerous run-ins with emergency where I've been resuscitated. Yeah, right, it wasn't at your hospital, so I get, you get away with saying it didn't happen, but that's my reality. That's been my reality since 1982. Okay? That's been my reality. And the doctors have literally stuck it to my family and me and not responded with a J-tube, which was the only fix for the problem. Wouldn't give me that ever, even though it was discussed many, many times and requested. I was refused many, many times, and when it was done, it proved a point. It did actually work. It did exactly what I needed, But instead of giving it to me, the doctors just want to pass me around, all of them, because I'm rare, so they can all have a look. But what they don't want to do is do anything that's nice for me, that fixes the problem for me, that makes it livable for me. They all want to look inside of my nose and say, oh, wow, look at this. We've got a patient who's so, ill that it's wrecking their nose. They all want to take a look. They all want to see the damage. They all want to marvel at my GI tract. They all want to do an endoscopy, a colonoscopy of their own. They all want to take biopsies to make me sicker, which is exactly what happens with fibrosis ossification or progressiva. If you do biopsies, you create bone growth, which then makes me sicker and worse. You all line me up for that sort of thing. It's a disgrace. All I would like is my J-tube. I'm not compromising. That's how it is. That's what I need. That's what has worked for me. I had a trial of a J-tube and it worked. And of course, because it worked, it got cut off because, hey, the doctors didn't have their favourite play toy to manipulate and terrorise with almost choking to death and scare into getting their own way with so they could do bad things to me. So that's how it ended up. But should a patient have to live like that because the state of Victoria doesn't have the money, apparently, for a J-tube for a person? Is this an acceptable level of life for somebody? They can't lay down. They can't do things that you regular people enjoy. And my nose is now so damaged I can't breathe through it. It has permanent sores. And an operation to fix my nose is not possible because I have fibrosis ossification or progressiva. And what that means is if they went in to repair the damage to my nose, I would literally grow additional bone somewhere in the body or at the site of the operation. Therefore, it would be too dangerous. So when I next choke in my mouth, I will have no way to breathe. So this is quite concerning to me, that this is supposedly acceptable. I have concerns about my human rights at this point, about being passed around by numerous doctors who want to biopsy me and make it worse but don't actually want to help me. I have huge concerns about consent and my human rights being respected because right now they're not. They're telling me they can't respect my human rights and provide me a J-tube, but yeah, they can do pretty horrible things to me, so that's where it's at.